All right, welcome to another edition of the Triple Play Podcast. I'm Owen Oszust. That is Nick Koski. Let's dive right into it. The Detroit Pistons playoff run has come to an end after a historic regular season for the Pistons that saw them capture a number one seed in the Eastern Conference. And the Pistons could not get to the Eastern Conference Finals. That is the Cleveland Cavaliers and the New York Knicks that will be facing off. Would have been fun to see Detroit rematch, New York for a chance to go to the NBA Finals, but it was not meant to be. It did go to Game 7. You got to give Detroit some credit for forcing a Game 7 and winning on the road, but then the overall effort in Game 7, it felt like it was a little lackluster, Nick.
It was really a game that was over by halftime. And when you hear the words game seven, you get so excited for that game, for the build up. Pistons really choked away game five that should have been theirs. They should have been up 3-2 in the series going into Cleveland. That was not the case. They lost a substantial lead in the last 2 minutes of that game five, put themselves in a really tough position. And then they go to Cleveland and have an amazing game six. Everything's clicking. The defense is, everything that it was supposed to be throughout the playoffs, everything that it was in the regular season. And then you come home and in front of the home crowd, in front of the 25 buses of Cavs fans that were brought in for this game, you just lay an absolute egg in game seven. And it's really disappointing. You can look back on the season, say what was a success, what was not. They were the one seed coming in. They lose to Cleveland, a team that they should have beat. And what it came down to was the lack of offense from the Pistons. And when they couldn't get the defense that they got in, previous iterations against the Magic and against the Cavs, they are a complete nothing burger. They have nothing when the defense isn't right, and it's very disappointing. We'll get into what the offseason is going to look like and what the Pistons have to do going into next season, but it was just awful to have that game be over at halftime and to get blown out by 30 points on your home court.
Yeah, I mean, I want to expand on a couple more things. Just to mention, Cleveland won 125 to 94. It was not a close final score like you mentioned. Um, it was again a tough like we've seen Detroit come back from halftime scores like that before. So I was in the mindset of like they're gonna do it again. I saw it against Orlando where on the road felt like things were not looking good for Detroit, and it was able to figure it out, right the ship. I thought if you come out with a good third quarter, which they didn't, you could fix things. But obviously that was not the case. Honestly, I thought it was kind of ironic that JB Bickerstaff was talking about wearing down Cleveland. They know it's going to be a boxing match and that sort of thing. And it looked like Detroit was tired. That was of the two teams. The Pistons looked way more tired in this game compared to other ones. Tobias Harris, 5 points. He's 0 for 6 from the field, especially the way the playoffs were going. They were heavily relying on Tobias's production. He wasn't able to get it to them. He had a negative 23 plus minus on the court. Ausar Thompson, 5 points. He was 2 for 7 from the field. Jalen Duren, he was pretty much accustomed to what we had seen in the playoffs. Danish Jenkins was solid, 17 points. Cade Cunningham, 13 points, 5 for 6 from the field. He was 0 for 7 from beyond the arc. From your star player, that's not going to cut it. I know there was a lot of issues and other things, but it just wasn't Detroit's day. And you had Cleveland have some big time performances from a slew of dudes. And it felt like even when James Harden did not have a good game. I personally did not think so. I think a lot of people could agree. So over 6 from three, 2 for 10 from the field. But then you have guys like Jarrett Allen step up in that sense. And Donovan Mitchell obviously was good as always. Evan Mobley, 21 points. Max Strus had some big moments as well, as did Sam Merrill, 23 points. Those were big. Cleveland always had a guy that would step up in a sense. Detroit sometimes had that throughout the playoffs. That was not the case for game seven. And now the Pistons season is over. I want to go back to you talked about, you know, do you consider this season as a whole a success for the Pistons? So we're saying the entire 2025-26 regular season and playoffs a success for the Detroit Pistons?
Absolutely not. And I think this is the issue with this franchise is that, and you heard it today from Trajan Langdon's presser, this is a team and a franchise that wants to sit there and they want to give credit for taking this team from a 14-win team 2 years ago to where they are now. Yes, do they deserve some credit for that? Sure. But this is a city that is content with getting knocked out, before a conference finals, before an ALCS, before the game to go to the Super Bowl. It's just a franchise and almost a city that is just complacent with this. So no, I don't think losing, in the semi-conference round is good enough. I think this was a team, they're coming in as the 1 seed. They have home court throughout the entire playoffs. They played the Magic. And let's be completely real, if Franz Wagner did not go down in that first series, we wouldn't even be having a podcast about how they lost a game 7 to Cleveland. They should
Mhm.
have been knocked out the round before. They're dead in their tracks, and they frankly got lucky. And you can point to this series, and people want to sit here and complain about the fouls and everything. But in reality, this team was not good enough to beat Cleveland, who they clearly should have beat. So, no, I'm not going to sit here and say that this was a success of a season. I think they should be playing in the conference finals right now. And if you lose a tough series to the New York Knicks, which maybe that's how it would have played off, I think they very much so could have beaten the Knicks. But
Mhm.
yes, maybe you could have then looked at it and said, it was a success. I don't want to be the guy that sits up here and says, you need to win a championship for a successful season. I'm not that extreme. Obviously, that's the goal. But again, leadership of this team focuses on making the playoffs and being competitive in the playoffs. And in my eyes, they were not competitive in the playoffs.
Okay. Um, I'll disagree with you, and I will say it's a success for different reasons. I understand where you're coming from, but to have a 60-win regular season, I think is absolutely a win. I didn't think this was the roster to be able to do that in the first place, even when Detroit suffered some injuries. I think, losing Cade for that amount of time and what felt like that was the end of the season, Detroit continued to battle. They had guys like Danis Jenkins step up in a spot where you didn't even know who he was before the season, really. And, Ausar Thompson, I think, shows some growth in areas. You had guys like, in ways, Jalen Duren, but obviously during the playoffs, he shrunk. I think for the playoff side, I look at it as I know that they obviously made the playoffs last year, but were not able to beat the Knicks. But this was kind of a year of firsts. You had that, first Eastern Conference first seed in a long time. You won your first home playoff game for the first time since 2008. You won your first playoff series since I believe 2008 as well. So I mean, there was definitely some positives. I'm going to look at the positives there. um, on the negative side, I think it's tough, especially for JV Bickerstaff, a guy that was fired from Cleveland because he couldn't get his team to the Eastern Conference Finals. He had a shot to try to knock out his old team. He couldn't do that. That's a tough reality and pill to swallow. And now, kind of shifting gears to the offseason, what happens? I mean, Jalen Duren's a restricted free agent. Everyone wants to say he's 22 years old, but he's also been in the league for what, 4 years now. So he's young, but he should have shown some growth as well. In some ways, he has, but in some ways, he hasn't as well. Kind of feels like in ways you have to choose between him or Ausar Thompson if you're going to pay either guy. And especially if there was rumors, or I guess not rumors, but speculation that potentially Duran could command a $40 million contract or 30 million. I think that's way too much. And I think uh, the NBA is now centered around dudes that can shoot the ball well, and he's not really that. And it feels like a lot of really good centers. Not saying that he can't be one, but to really roll the dice and put a major, major price tag on him, I don't think it's worth it. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I don't think it's worth it. And I do want to go back to one point really quick, Owen, and you bringing up just, is it a success or not, the 60-win season? No one celebrates the regular season.
No, I agree with that.
Who is still celebrating the Lions being the number one seed when they went 15-2 that one year?
They
Nobody.
get a banner. They
Um,
get a banner. It's in Ford Field. I don't know if you've seen that or not.
and based on the Lions' history, we'll honestly take that. But my point still stands
Exactly.
that
They hang banners for
nobody's still
regular.
celebrating it,
Yeah, yeah, but they do hang banners in Detroit for regular seasons. I just gotta say that.
and
That's just a mindset.
it is, and it's a bad mindset that we need to get out of. And shifting gears, like you said, to the off season. We heard it in Langdon's presser today. He wanted to sit up there. He wanted to tell everybody, this is a young team. You know, we have the mentality that we're learning and that we're young. But why does that mean that you can't push yourselves further now? I mean, it's the same. We don't have
Yeah,
to have the whole trade deadline conversation again, but there's a complacency that teams want to say they're young. A lot of Detroit teams have a young core, and they just use that as an excuse to say we're just going to wait and see. And I just don't think that that's good enough. I don't think that that's a good enough mindset, to just sit up there and say teams are young. Why are you wasting potential seasons where you could go to the finals? Do I think they would have beaten OKC or the Spurs, whoever makes it? Absolutely not. But why are you just going to sit back in a year that there was no threatening teams? You didn't have to play Boston. Halliburton, Pacers weren't even in play. I don't even
no, it
think the
sucked.
Knicks are that good, and the Cavaliers are honestly terrible. Like
Terrible.
watching James Harden have to flop that entire series literally made me nauseated, and that's everything that's wrong with the NBA, and that's why frankly it's not as popular as it once was, is because of players like James Harden, and it was honestly sickening to watch. But again, I'm not going to blame refs for anything, even though the foul disparity was pretty large in the series. But anyway, I do think that there needs to be some conversations around Jalen Duren. Would I like him back? Sure, at the right price, and maybe
Which is
this.
what? What is the most you're willing to offer him if a team were to give him a contract?
I'm not giving him any more than $30 million.
But
I won't do
30's
it,
good
and
with you though? Is 30 good with you?
I would take 30 because one, he had a really good regular season. He's a
But he
really
was
young
you want
player.
to talk about playoffs, he was not there. I mean, there was a couple games he showed up, but many, many times he just was not good enough.
I I would pivot this question to, I think a very big reason why Jalen Duren struggled in the playoffs is because teams were just packing the paint, because you don't have to guard Ausar Thompson from the elbow. You don't have to guard him from the 3-point line. And we literally saw it in game seven. They left him wide open for 3-pointers. He actually made one. And then the next shot he airballed. So it's like the two in betweens. Like teams are just going to sit back. They're going to let Ausar shoot wherever that is. He can't even shoot jump shots, and they're going to pack the paint. And the Pistons have such bad spacing that Jalen Duren really can't go to work. So if I am going to sit on the stool of defending Jalen Duren, which I don't really want to do that, I'm not trying to defend him, but I think the style and the personnel on the current Pistons team without more options who can shoot the three ball really prohibit him and really limit him in certain circumstances.
So uh, we talked about Duran, but it seems like Asar's going to have a payday soon as well. It feels like if you had to pick one of them, which one would you pick then? If you could only keep one, hypothetically.
If I could only pick one, I think I would still lean towards Ausar Thompson just because his impact is felt so heavily in basketball games. You have the
Mhm.
Cavs head coach come out after the game and say, our game plan was to pass it to the furthest person away from Ausar Thompson. Like that is
Yeah.
extremely high praise from an NBA head coach. You're not going to hear that from probably anyone, but he said it about Ausar Thompson. I think that's really telling. But in
Well, you look
Trajan's
at
press conference,
I
go
was just
ahead.
gonna say, you look in the OKC Spurs series, like there's a ton of defense. Like that's a dude that can step up like that defensively is super underrated, I feel like. But yeah, I agree
Yeah,
with you.
I completely agree. But when you have, Tobias Harris, Danis Jenkins, like those aren't guys that are threats that, again, like I was just saying, teams are going to pack the paint and they're going to leave those guys open for a better word. But in Trajan's press conference today, in regards to Jalen Duren, he literally said he looks forward to getting a deal done. And he also said Ausar Thompson is going to be expensive. So, like, again, it's the same mentality. He also mentioned Tobias Harris as a guy that he would love to have back. And it's reminds me of the quote that just because the names look the same doesn't mean the team is going to be the same. That's exactly what it is. And I would ask the question, how is that playing out for the Detroit Tigers this year?
Yeah, and
It's the
for
same
people that
thing.
don't, well, I was gonna say for the people that don't know what you're referring to, Scott Harris said the same thing about um, the fact that they were basically running back the same team. He was asked about it, and he was like, same faces, but it's a new team and everything, and it
They're
hasn't been
worse.
good so far.
They're a worse team. It's not
Which
even the
I
same
will.
team.
Right. I gotta admit there are some injuries. People will say, "Well, Tarek School was hurt." Yeah, I know that, and so is Verlander, but he's super old too. Like when you sign old dudes like that, that's gonna happen. Like
Yeah.
when you sign old pitchers, like Scott Harris loves to do, or trade for them. It can be a problem. So, um, yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of interesting things to look forward to for the Pistons. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if there'll be a team like, I'm just throwing out a name like the Pelicans that would throw like a massive deal on Adam because they don't really have much to lose, or the Wizards. I don't know, something like that. So like it's going to be interesting. I know that I take all general manager pressers with a little bit of a grain of salt because they're not going to actually tell you and reveal their hand of what they're planning and that sort of thing. So who knows? Maybe a trade's in the works. Like it's going to be interesting. It sucks that the Pistons aren't in the Eastern Conference Finals, but that's what it is. I think it's fair to say they took a step forward in the right direction. How about that? Can you agree on that?
I would say they improved from last year, yes. So if
Okay,
you want to view that as taking a step in the
it's
right
improvement,
direction, I
right?
would agree. I'd
Made it deeper
agree.
in the playoffs, had a better playoff seed. Now the question is, can you build off this? If you can't, then you know it's tough. Like we saw the Lions regress a lot, and can you build off it? We'll have to see. I do want to shift over now to the Tigers. We were just talking about them. Nick, what is going on in Motown right now?
What isn't going on in Motown right now? I think I've reached full crash out stage with the Tigers. I've muted them on my phone so I don't get any scoring updates. I haven't watched a game in probably a week.
Mm,
They are just the most insufferable team to watch. And it
mm,
just, again, it's the resentment from how last year ended has just completely carried over to this team. I can't stomach watching Zach Short play baseball. I can't do it. I mean, there's not a guy in AAA or Double A or Single A that can't come up and get zero hits. Like,
mm.
I mean, what are we doing? It's just
Yeah,
embarrassing.
he
And
is.
you you want to
His
make the
average right
point,
now is zero. Like he has no hits. He has
yeah,
zero
like
hits.
I know I'm not even making this up,
Which they
but you
buy,
want
which
to,
I thought it was funny. The Tigers cut him. Like obviously he was not with the team. First off, then the Tigers signed him. Was that after the Javi injury?
yeah,
It was somebody went down. They
yeah,
signed him. He sucked. They cut him. Then who's the other? I think it was Glaber went down.
Glaber, yeah.
Yeah, so then they signed him back. Now he's back on the team. Um, I would just like to point to AAA where Max Anderson's been killing it right now and say, what do you have to lose? What is a guy like Zach Short currently have on your roster that Max Anderson doesn't, except big league experience? Not that it means much because he has not had much success, but
Yeah, I mean, what good is big league experience when you don't have a hit, you know?
in the
It
season,
just
yeah, yeah.
it's really tough to watch, and you can say, yeah, there's injuries, which there are, but from an offensive perspective, I do think the pitching is going to get a lot better when you get, Tarek back, when you get Melton back, hopefully Verlander down the line. But from an offensive perspective, you get Glaber back. Glaber's a bat that is going to help you in the lineup. Javi Baez Kerry Carpenter, and Parker Meadows, are those really guys that you feel great about coming back that are just going to come out of nowhere and save this Detroit Tigers team?
Mm,
Like really,
no, I don't know.
they have their best hitters healthy. Riley Green's been amazing.
It's been good.
Kevin McGonigal's been good.
Solid. He's been solid. Yep.
Colt Keith hasn't had the power yet, which has been extremely disappointing, but he's, been able to put the ball in play, get on base. But I mean, those guys that are coming back, I really don't think they make a material difference, and I think it just really shows how terrible this offense really is.
I just want like to build off of that with some specific numbers. There's a game. They're currently playing and losing while we're filming this podcast. But Matt Vierling, 205. He's hitting 205. Like for your leadoff guy in the lineup tonight against the Guardians, 205 is not going to cut it. Gotta go 284. He's been dipping a little bit. You have your number three hitter in Jahmai Jones. He's hitting 185.
I mean, okay, sorry, I'm gonna go on a little rant here. Can we stop hitting Jahmai Jones at three? Like, oh my God, it's actually ridiculous. Like, I don't want to see Vierling batting
Mm,
fourth. I don't want to see
mm.
Jahmai Jones in the three spot. Wenzel Perez should be long gone. I mean, this dude has just completely collapsed. We thought he was going to be something based on the last year, and he is just an absolute nothing burger. Like, can we just got to try something else? But we
I want
keep,
to I was going to keep going because it doesn't get much
yeah.
better. But Dylan Dangler, 242. He's actually had some moments and he cooled off a little
Yeah,
bit,
that's
but
good. That's good production from your
that's a
catcher.
catcher. That's a
242 is
catcher.
great.
He's a good
Yeah.
defensive catcher, too. Want to add that. Riley Green,
Gold glove.
335. He's been very, very good. Riley Green's been very good. Spencer Torkelson, 194. He did had a he had a homer, but it's not been
If
good.
if the
Wenzel
Tigers had,
Perez, wait, let me
sorry,
finish.
yep.
Wenzel Perez, 168. Ao Lee, 204. Zach Short, 0. Sitting 0. So that's your Tigers lineup right now. And you don't have much production from it. I would say the pitching hasn't been great, but the offense, if you had to point a finger right now, it's currently on the offense and the hitting because I know that they have some guys in AAA because they didn't trade them, right? Remember last year? They didn't trade those guys. They kept them, right? How you Lee? They decided to hold on to him. That was good, right? He's hitting 200. I think it just shows sometimes that prospects don't turn out. But that's, everyone wanted to hold on to the prospects, which is great. Um, but you have some guys down in AAA. Why not call them up? What do you have to lose right now? Like I don't really understand that. But I we disagree right now on it. But I think the Tigers are still in it. But they do have to figure some things out, and it's got to be before Scooble comes back because you don't want to bury yourself in the AL Central. They're currently 6.5 back, about to be 7.5 if they lose this game to Cleveland. So, like, you got to figure some things out now because if it becomes July, you might be sellers at the deadline. That would be not good, obviously, especially with the amount of injuries that you could or couldn't trade guys. So,
Yeah, I'm gonna completely write him off. I think they're toast.
you want to bet?
Like it's
I'll bet you
it
a
sucks.
dollar that they'll
Yeah,
get back in it.
sure. It sucks having a baseball team that you just can't stomach watching in May. And
Yeah,
The
but there
Pistons,
are, but okay. Here's the way I think about it: is if like the Tigers last year were so good for so long in the regular season, and then they just fell off a cliff in August and September. And then they entered the postseason, were able to beat Cleveland, but then they just got back to the same round and lost again. Um, I just wonder it like you just gotta get hot at the right time. Could they do that? I don't know. But like the potential is still there. It's May. You could rattle off a bunch of wins. But again, you got to make moves in your lineup, whether that's calling dudes up like they do with Kevin McGonigal or actually make trades, which they have refused to do right now. So I just wonder what is going to happen to get the lineup going.
yeah. And I was gonna say the Pistons really shielded this team and kind of took a little bit of the distraction away from how bad the Tigers have really been. But I just don't. I don't think they're going to be able to stay afloat long enough. I think they're going to play themselves out of any, you know, playoff aspirations. I know the division is terrible, but I
But the
would have a
American
lot more
League's just
confidence.
terrible in general right now. Like the
Yeah.
Athletics are in first place and they're below 500. Like outside of
Yeah.
the top two teams in the AL East, I mean, Cleveland's been actually pretty good, even though they spent $0 during the offseason. They just continue to find ways, and they have a good farm system that actually they can call dudes up and they actually produce. Even when Steve McQuan, he was an All Star last year for Cleveland, he sucked. He has sucked this year, and they've still find ways to win games. Can Cleveland keep it going? Is the other thing. If Cleveland pulls away, yeah, you're right, but. I have a little bit of doubt that with this ball club that they have in Cleveland that they could continue to at the rate that they're currently at. But I don't know.
Yeah, I just think the Tigers are going to get this spot where they're going to trade at the deadline. And I think we really saw it last year, but
But who are they
as
going to
currently
trade to? Who are they going to trade? Everyone's hurt. Like, why would you
well,
trade for
they'll
a
be
dude that's
back by
hurt?
then. You got to get rid of one of the following players. Kerry Carpenter,
What are
Spencer
you going to get? A
Spencer
bag of chips for
Torkelson,
him? What are you
or
going to get
Colt
for
Keith.
him?
I don't know, send him to the moon or trade him for cash considerations.
Yeah.
Like
I mean,
these guys
you
just
can
can't play
trade him, but what
together.
are they going to do? What are they going to do? But you get rid of them, and then who's coming up? Like, what are they going to do? It's free agencies. There's certainly nobody coming up. Like it needs to be via trade. Uh,
Yeah, make some
I don't know.
trades, make something happen.
Which is again, and then you go back to Scott Harris. Outside of Finnegan, I can't really point to another trade where I say, "Yep, that was a good one. That was a great one." Because people would say,
Nope.
"Well, that." And then like previously, it was the Jack Flaherty trade where they trade him for Trey Sweeney. And where's Trey Sweeney? He's not. He's not there. He sucks. So.
He's injured. I never thought I'd want to see Trey
Oh, he
Sweeney in my life.
sucks.
Like
No,
I
no.
miss him.
I still don't. No, you don't. He's
I
hitting
literally miss
200.
him.
You would get the same
I miss
amount of
him.
production as you currently have in there. I guess you would, instead of zero batting average, you have 200. So I guess there's somewhat a little bit better, but
I miss him. Bring him
no, you
back.
don't. No, you
He's
don't.
gonna save the Tigers.
No, you
Him
don't.
and Parker Meadows. All right, Owen, we have 3 minutes left. I want to ask a quick take from you. I'll go first. If you could have your dream free agent for the Pistons, who would it be? I'm gonna say I want Kawhi Leonard, and I'm gonna wrap him in bubble wrap for the first
No.
half of the season. Load management. I'm not gonna play him, and then ramp him up slowly for the playoffs. And I want Kawhi Leonard on this team. That's who I want.
Yeah, well, even if you did that, I think he would still find a way to get hurt. So,
Give me the
Mr.
claw. Give me the claw.
Mr. Street Clothes is not going to be, I don't think, a viable option, but yeah, sure, maybe. I'm gonna say LeBron James just because it's fun. And I would love to see LeBron James in a Pistons uniform.
uh,
Get Bronny, get LeBron, do whatever you got to do.
uh.
That would be sick. I don't think it would make him tremendously better or anything, but man,
Oh,
that would be
he's
fun.
he's gonna hit the I'm retired if you trade for
Yeah.
him. He's gonna hit the Gronk.
He's gonna call up Blake. He's gonna call up Blake, be
He's,
like, Blake, I know you had some great years in Detroit. What
yeah.
did you think? And Blake's gonna be like, yeah, man, Stan Van, he traded for me and we made the playoffs as the 8th seed and got swept. So yeah, it was a great time. Had some fun in Detroit, that's for sure.
LeGoat on the Pistons. You heard it here first.
I'm not predicting it. You just asked me who and I would like to see, and I said LeBron.
Uh,
So
and that is a great answer and a great way to end another fun episode of the Triple Play podcast. Hopefully, in the future, we have some more fun topics to talk about. But a lot of great conversation, Owen. It's always great to, do podcasts with you and always a lot of fun. So, thank you all for listening, and we'll see you all in the next episode.
peace.